You're smart people, so I'm sure you figured out what was wrong with that picture in the beginning, right? You didn't hear what it is. The cemetery was full, and the building had been abandoned. I guess that church fulfilled its great commission because it managed to bury all of its members. It was done. And if you ride anywhere in this country, especially throughout Virginia, it doesn't take you very long before you go drive past another church that looks a lot like that. The building's kind of falling apart, paint's peeling because there's nobody taking care of it anymore. The White Valley, the cemetery is full. I want you to keep that thought in your head for the next few weeks. This has been a year of talking about community. We look at Acts chapter 2 to understand the community of the very first church. Then we got in our time machine, we took a jump to the book of Revelation to look at Jesus, and we established a community. Then we were done there, we went back in our time machine, and we took a jump way back in time to the book of Genesis, where we took a voyage with Noah, who was desperately trying to save the world. His community. So, where do we go next? Well, we're going to jump a little forward in time, but just a few thousand years, we're not coming all the way back to 35. We're going to find ourselves landed in the book of Proverbs, chapter 6, verses 15 through 19. Listen very carefully. There are 6 things the Lord hates, and 7 that are detestable to him. Haughty eyes, a lying tongue, hands that shed innocent blood, a heart that devises wicked schemes, feet that are quick to rush into evil, a false witness who pours out lies, and a person who stirs up conflict in the, there I word, community. This is not the very first time that we found ourselves landing in the book of Proverbs. Proverbs was written by, that dude, King Solomon. Yep, he's the one that last year we chased the wind with him, trying to figure out how to catch the person's wife. And well, Proverbs is essentially a manual for living life. Proverbs chapter 1, verses 1 through 6 tell us that. And it also tells us, as we continue on in verses 8 and 9, that Proverbs was specifically written to Solomon's son. So what Proverbs is an advice column from wise Solomon to his son about how you go about living life. Time hasn't changed much because guess what? In case you were wondering, Solomon's son didn't listen to him. He went everywhere else that you could possibly think, and it ended up dividing the kingdom initially. God's community. And maybe you're thinking, so for us, what does this have to do with community? We've been studying all year long. Other than the words actually appears at the very end of the sermon, at the very end of the passage. So the thing is, it says that God has 6 things that he hates, and 1 that he finds detestable. And when I think about what God might hate, I can think of all kinds of sins that I would fill in the blank with, right? And here's the problem. The sins that I want to make God hate ain't on that list. And the reason is because the things that God hates isn't exactly about sin. It's about things that kill the community. Now, I call them community killers because these are things that if you find them prominent in the church or in your life, it will literally rip you apart from the inside out. We have this notion in our world today that all the enemies of the church, all the problems of the church are coming from the outside in, and Solomon is here to tell us that your problems, funny, we're coming back to that moment, right? They're from the inside coming out. They're the things that you find in the church or in your body or in your life that literally are going to cause issues because they are part of your life. Therefore, for the next 6 weeks, we want to understand what they are. And then comes the hard part. We want to acknowledge when we see them in ourselves and in our our community with one another and with God. Then comes the part where we want to learn how to deal with them in a biblical fashion. A lot of times I don't think we do that. We see these things, and it makes us mad, it makes us frustrated. And then the funny thing is, in dealing with the things that are killing the community, you know what we do? We do the exact same things that they're doing that are killing the community, and then we create more division and more problems and more issues, and we are literally ripping the church apart. So I've got 6 weeks set aside to do this. Obviously, there are 7 things there. So somewhere along the line, you know I'm going to have to combine 2. The good news is there are 2 that fit really good together. So I got that figured out. So let's just start right where Solomon starts. Haughty eyes. Haughty eyes. What does that mean? I mean, he takes the word eyes, and I know what my eyes are, and he puts that word haughty in front of it. Pretty good word for haughty. Haughty eyes. So you can make some kind of an accent. And well, the dictionary definition is blatantly or disdainfully proud, having or showing an attitude of superiority and contempt for people or things perceived to be inferior. This is not the first time we've discussed this term haughty. In Proverbs chapter 16, verse 18, it says, pride goes before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall. Here it is connected with the Spirit, but it is also connected with this word. There it is. Pride. The word haughty is used 5 times in Proverbs. 3 times it is related to the eyes. Once here in Proverbs chapter 6, verse 16. Also in Proverbs chapter 21, verses 2 through 4, this is great. A person may think their own ways are right, but the Lord weighs the heart. To do what is right and just is more acceptable to the Lord than sacrifice. Haughty eyes and a proud heart, the unplowed fields of the wicked produce sin. He also compares it to eyes there in Proverbs chapter 30, verses 11 through 14. There are those who curse their fathers and do not bless their mothers. Those who are pure in their own eyes and yet are not cleansed of their filth. Those whose eyes are even so haughty, whose glances are disdainful, whose teeth are swords, and whose jaws are set with knives, to devour the poor from the earth and the needy from among mankind. And as I read verses 21 in chapter 21 and the verses in chapter 30, I came to a really, really startling conclusion. It's hard for me to see it in me. It's hard to see pride in myself. Because verse 21 says that I think I'm doing right. I mean, honestly, I have to always think I'm right. Because if I thought I was wrong, then I changed my mind, because who in their right mind would walk around knowing they're wrong and continue to be wrong? I change everything, right? So if I never see it in myself, then I never have to make a change. Psalm Paul calls my little fiddler in Mary chapter 30, he says, we think in my mind, I'm pure. But really, I'm the head of the cleansing. So the first take I want you to get from all of this is don't take these sermons and just dismiss them as therefore the person sitting next to you. Therefore the person that well, they don't go to church. Therefore the person that's not me, because I don't have a pride issue. And if you think that, then guess what? You have a pride issue. So what exactly are haughty eyes? Well, they're the kind of eyes that look down on other people as if one looking down is higher up than others. So it's kind of funny, I'm standing up here on a stage today, and y'all are all sitting at the main level, so it looks very easy where I have to look down. I'm up here all by myself, and the focus of the attention is on me, and y'all are just kind of sitting out there, right? This is the picture of what haughty eyes look like when you get a stage. I'm the focal point. I'm the person that you need to pay attention to. By the way, the rest of you guys, you're just out there to do what I want you to do. That's what all you guys do. It's a perfect picture today. When we begin to think about it, Solomon told us that you have a negative heart if you have all you guys. Everything is always bad. Everything is negative. You have to complain about everything and grouse about everything. Inside of your heart is nothing but just disdain. Jesus said that what comes out of a man is what's below. We used to have a youth minister, his name is Rich Wells. He said, you really want to know what's inside of a man? Walk up to him and punch him in the stomach. Because whatever it is will come out really quick. We have to understand that if we have haughty eyes, that's inside, there is nothing but negative. And that negativity gives us a judgmental attitude. We look at our viewpoint, we have the us and them mentality. They don't know how to live their life. They have issues. Not like me. Look at me because I go to church. I read into a baptistry. I read my Bible. I pray. I sing. So they have issues. And therefore, with judgmentalness comes this idea of we become critical. We evaluate everybody else's life and pick all of their little bitty pieces out of their life and talk about all the things that they're doing wrong and all the things that are wrong with our world and all the things that need to be fixed and all the things that we want done this way or that way, and we just become critical. I love the way Solomon puts this. He says, those whose teeth are like swords and whose jaws are set with knives. You just rip into everything and tear it all apart. Just viciousness that comes from just a simple thing of, oh God, you and yourself. And then, of course, that leads to the idea of the big fact. Solomon says they devour the poor from the earth, the needy among mankind. They're consumers. What's in it for me? I want to get what I can get out of it, and as soon as I've got everything out of it, and I'm going to move on, and you know what? We'll abandon the building and we'll build a cemetery. As long as I got to consume what's in it. Ouch. Remember, sometimes it's hard to see it in me. And well, when it comes to this, the idea is that there is a harmful effect to these haughty eyes. See, you need to keep in mind, it's connected to pride. And remember that statement that the eyes are the windows to the soul? It's safe to say that if you have haughty eyes, there's a product of prideful heart. And you need to remember it. Pride is the number one sin discussed in the Bible. What? It is the number one sin discussed in the Bible. You can take all the others, you can add them together, and it doesn't even equal how much talk is given to this idea of pride. In fact, pride is the very origin of sin. This is what Satan said to Eve. For God knows that when you eat from it, your eyes will be open, and you will be like God, knowing good and evil, and you get what he's playing to there, right? Eve, if you'll just eat it, Eve, if you'll just take it, you can be God. You can have the throne of your own heart, and you get to say what's right and wrong, and you get to say what's good and evil, and you get to say what you want to do and what you don't want to do. You get to be God. Folks, Proverbs chapter 11, verse 2 says, when pride comes, then comes disgrace. If you're living prideful, at some point, you will disgrace the name of Christ. Proverbs chapter 13, verse 10 says, when there is strife, there is pride. Pride means that everything becomes a battle. You lose a sense of cooperation because you have to have strife because it has to be done your way. Proverbs chapter 14, verse 3 says, a fool's mouth lashes out with pride. Arguing, nitpicking, name-calling. Reality, you begin to sound like a fool, especially when you want to try to convince others that your value is following Jesus. I mean, honestly, do you really think you can go out and bring people into a place where we're arguing with one another all the time? When we're nitpicking, you can't do it this way, you can't do it that way. You didn't dot this I, you didn't cross this T. Okay, you crossed it, but your T is across a little bit this way. I like mine to be a little more level. Will you please change it? That's what comes from pride. Proverbs chapter 16, verse 6 says, pride goes before again destruction. Literally, this will rip you out. And finally, we told us in chapter 29, verse 23, pride brings a person love. I'll explain on that one just a little bit. Talk about how we're supposed to deal with pride. You know the quick answer, right? I need to be more humble. I got to get some humility in my life. And, well, I would like to remind you for a moment. Prideful people never see themselves as prideful. Therefore, prideful people are to see themselves as humble people. Therefore, trying to teach a prideful person to be humble is kind of like impossible because they're going to tell you I'm already humble. Matter of fact, usually when you talk to them, they'll tell you just how humble they are. They'll tell you all the great things they do for everybody else. Because they're not exactly humble, they're prideful. They just can't be taught that way. He said, while pride is far from you seeing me, you know what I have learned over the years? I didn't even look this one up. I didn't even do any research about this. It is very easy for me to see your pride. Matter of fact, just ask me. I'll come and look at your life a little bit, and I'll tell you all the things you're doing in your life that make you prideful. Okay, we can do this. You know how I know we can do this? Because this is what we do. Because if I can focus my attention on your pride, and try to get you to fix your pride, whose pride do I not have to worry about? Mine. Because I'm not prideful, because obviously you've got more problems than I got, so we'll just work on yours, and we'll not have to worry about mine. And I'm sure you're seeing how this can cause some issues just by saying we just need to be more humble. The good news is, in Philippians chapter 2, verses 3 through 8, if you want to grab a copy of God's Word and turn your way there, the Apostle Paul paints a real picture of what true humbleness looks like. He gives us some actions to think about, specifically 3. And interesting enough, all of them connect with how you deal with people. Philippians chapter 2, verses 3 through 8 read this way, do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. Rather, in humility, value others above yourself, not looking at your own interests, but each of you to the interest of others. In your relationship with one another, have the same mindset as Jesus, who being the very nature of God, did not consider equality with God something to be used to his own advantage. Rather, he made himself nothing by taking the very nature of a servant, being made in human likeness and being found in appearance as a man. He humbled himself by becoming obedient to death, even death on the cross. I like Paul's writing because Paul doesn't pull punches. Paul's very blunt and very direct. And right out the chute, he hits you with a big left hook. Do nothing out of selfish ambition. So if you want to really talk about humility, you want to talk about pride, the first thing you have to do is check your motivation. Why are you doing what you're doing? Am I doing what I'm doing because I want somebody to see me do it? Here's one. Am I doing what I'm doing because I want God to be happy with me? You realize that's pride, right? I want to make God happy with me. So therefore, I'm doing what I'm doing, and that's my motivation for doing it. He then identifies two motives that lead to pride and the way to humility. And he starts off with this idea of selfish ambition. Focused on you and your wants and desires, and centered on what you can get from a person, place, thing, or situation. First thing Paul brings up is, are you doing this for selfish reasons? He ties it to the word ambition, which is all about exalting yourself. Usually when we think about ambition, we think about money, right? People that are, that's not what ambition is. Ambition is you're out there to get it, and you're out there to get it because you only really care about one person. Me. Okay? That's the selfish ambition. So I could actually be doing the best thing in the world, but I could be doing it for selfish reasons, and therefore, since I'm doing the best thing in the world, I can convince myself that I don't have a prideful ambition. But at the end of it, when I bowl it all down that ship away, if the person that's the target is me, then you realize that's my pride. I set aside what God wants me to do. Selfish ambition is just all about power and control. You're seeking to be in control, to go your own way, and you know what? I can see only me. When my life is full of selfish ambition, the only thing that matters is what I want, what I need, what will make me happy. And that means whether it's the worship service, or whether it's the food we serve, the fellowship supper, or whether it's the way we do service projects, or the way we teach our kids, or what version of the Bible we translate to the Bible we read. Then you get it, right? Of course, it'd be easy if Paul just kind of let up there, but then he just came and Paul had let hook with a nice white jag and just kind of punches you right in the middle of it. So he said, by the way, why are you looking for that selfish ambition? Be very careful with that pervading conceit. Because vanity is all about appearance. Conceit is the excessive appreciation of one's own worth or virtue. So I am important. I am important, right? This doesn't work without me, right? Right? I'm the center of the universe, right? I used to make a joke. I had an office, and it was like in the center, and I had 4 low-bearing walls around my office. So they did a remodel at the building, and everybody else had to move, and I got to stay in the same office. And I told the person to come, I figured it out. I finally figured out how to make the world revolve around me. And the funny thing is, we spend our life trying to do this, don't we? And our church life, trying to make the church revolve around me and what I want. And what I want is to I get to sit in my office and just call the shots. See, in humility, value others above yourself. Not looking to your own interests, but each of you to the interest of others. The first glimpse that we get of that first century church back in Acts chapter 2, verses 42 through 47, when we did at the beginning of the year, well, they're not interested in me, they're more interested in we. And it shows. Because if we look at them, they're digging into themselves to meet the needs of others in the body. They're not looking for a program or a charity. They're not looking for somebody else to volunteer. They're saying, I think it's my job. Aren't there how many times we have said, I believe when it comes to the community of the church? We want all things to be comfortable for us. Well, we work very hard to make it that way. You don't understand that Friday today is possible, that is pride talking. And in that moment, you're more concerned with me and you're concerned with others. This is one of the thoughts. I wish I would have wrote a copy of them off the website when I was doing my research on it. So the moment I introduce the word I in the middle of anything, you realize I brought my pride with me. Because once I introduce I in the middle of it, I'm no longer concerned about you. I only want it the way that I want it. This is why Paul follows up the one with the jab. The spiritual solution. in your relationships with one another have the mindset of Christ. Thanks a lot, Paul. Now you are Jesus in this whole thing. And you do see it, right? The action is to set your mind on the Jesus thing. I've been looking for the button, okay? But he literally wants you to reach into your mind, to change your mind, and find that setting that says Jesus, and do that. And he says, in case you can't find it, let me help you with how to take the action. Specifically said, when you're dealing with people in your relationships, be Jesus. Be Jesus. That means when I'm dealing with a conflict at work, I'm supposed to be Jesus. I got to tell you something. Sometimes I'm not very Jesus. I'm good at being Barry, but I'm not very good at being Jesus at that. When I'm dealing with any relationship in the church, I'm supposed to be being Jesus. When I deal with my kids, I'm supposed to be being Jesus. When I deal with my wife, I'm supposed to be being Jesus. In all of my relationships, I'm supposed to be being Jesus. And well, how do I be Jesus? Well, I'll solve that for you. Be a servant. He said he made himself nothing, taking on the very nature of a servant. And we know what a servant is. A servant is one that serves others. One that performs duties about the personal home of a master or a personal employer. A servant, any way you slice it, they're not in charge. And I guess that sort of charge is attached a little bit. We must follow the witness of our Jesus and the wishes of our master's employees. And that's hard. I mean, really? I'm supposed to treat this church thing like I'm not standing on the stage and I'm up here and you're down there. I'm supposed to be down there also. I'm supposed to be serving. You're not doing this for you. You're doing this for God. I think I'll let it. Okay, we'll back that off. We'll just do this for God's side. You're not doing this for you, you're doing this for God. Colossians chapter 3, verse 17. Whatever you do, whether in word or deed, do it all in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ, giving thanks to God the Father through him. Galatians chapter 5, verse 13 says, you, my brothers and sisters, are called to be free, but do not use your freedom to indulge the flesh. Rather, serve one another in love and humility. So, we're supposed to take on the life of a servant. That means if the back of it, I'm physically able to do it. Well, he's not done, because he's got to hit you with the 1-2 jab and the little cross with the Venus, or now you have to be obedient. Even if it kills you, isn't that what Jesus did? I mean, isn't this really about living sacrificially? His entire life, Jesus lived to benefit others. Even in his death, he died to benefit others. Living sacrificially means that lose your vision for yourself. And his entire sermon comes with a very dominant point of this. Remember I told you that part I was going to expand on later? Here's the thing, though. We have a choice. Either we can humble ourselves, according to Isaiah chapter 2, verses 3 to 18, God will do it for us. Please look at the word. The eyes of the arrogant will be humbled, and human pride will oppose. The Lord alone will be exalted in that day. The Lord Almighty has a day in store for all the proud and lofty, for all that is exalted, and they will be humbled. For all the cities of Lebanon, tall and lofty, and all the oaks of Bashan, for all the towering mountains and all the high hills, for every lofty tower and every fortified wall, for every trading ship and every stately vessel, the arrogance of man will be brought low. The Lord alone will be exalted in that day. And the idols, you get your choice. God comes back and says, you know what? On that day, you will be king. Matter of fact, we're told that every knee is going to bow, every tongue is going to confess. There is going to be a debate about who's in charge. God is God, and on that day, we won't have to choose. We can abandon the buildings all we want. But you can't stay silent. And God says you can't live your life